People say some mothers are born with softness in their hands and love in their eyes. But what if a mother looks at her child and sees only fear? This is not a tale for the faint-hearted. It is a tale soaked in silence, painted in secrets, and stitched with a sorrow older than memory. It began in the powerful city of Dambara, a place where red earth met the sea, and where the rich lived behind high walls covered in purple bougainvillea vines. The story belongs to one of those women behind the walls. Her name was Ayanda Ase, a name that held weight in the courts, in business chambers, and in whispers. She was the widow of a wealthy industrialist, Kobe Ase, whose mysterious death in a boating accident 3 years earlier left many questions hanging. Their marriage had always appeared polished in public smiles, firm handshakes, coordinated charity events. But behind closed doors, it was a union built more on arrangement than affection. No children, no shared laughter. Just shadows in separate rooms. But one rainy season later, Ayanda stunned the city by announcing she was pregnant. People blinked. Who was the father? Had she remarried? She offered no answers. The press tried. Gossip flared. She ignored them all. Then came the birth of a daughter, little Toriro, beautiful as moonlight, soft as rain. And from that moment, Ayanda never touched her. Not once. Not even when the midwife placed the crying newborn in her arms. Not when the baby reached out, lips trembling. Not when Toriro screamed for hours during fever spells. She stayed away as though her own child carried poison. Everyone noticed. The nannies, the nurses, the housemaids. They whispered in corners, stared in silence. Some suggested that touching her child would help Ayanda heal, but she refused. Her eyes told a different story, a distant one. And so Nia, a soft-spoken woman from the village of Aleru, was hired to raise the child. Ayanda paid her richly. Everything Toriro needed, she got. Carved wooden cradles from Cameroon, herbal oils from Ghana. Tiny gold bracelets jingled on her wrists, but the mother's arms? Always empty. Nia watched, wondered, waited. She loved the child quickly. How could she not? Toriro's laughter rang like chimes. Her tiny fingers curled tightly when afraid. Her scent, warm milk and shea butter stayed on Nia's clothes long after bedtime. But no matter how much Nia loved, something inside the house stayed frozen. Cold air clung to the walls. And the silence from Ayanda grew heavier by the day. Outside, the city speculated. It's not her child. She bought the baby. It's a spirit child, a curse. Nia said nothing. Her job was simple. Feed the baby, clothe her, comfort her. She dared not ask questions. Her father's farm back in Aleru had collapsed after the last flood. Her younger brothers needed school fees. Her mother's lungs were weak. Ayanda's money kept them alive. But questions burned in her chest. One humid evening, as rain pattered gently on the zinc roof and Nia rocked Toriro to sleep, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stared. Her fingers hovered. Curiosity won. Hello? She whispered. A slow, calm voice answered. If you find out why Ayanda Ose won't touch her baby, you'll receive 5 million naira. No questions asked. Click. The line died. Nia sat frozen. Her heart thudded like a festival drum. 5 million? Her eyes widened. That money could buy land, open a school, save her family. She clutched Toriro closer. The baby stirred, sighed, returned to sleep. Ayanda's shadow moved past the nursery. She was heading to her study. That room, always locked, stood beside the nursery, and sometimes, late at night, Nia heard weeping, not loud sobs. Soft, like the quiet grieving of someone who'd long forgotten how to scream. That night, Nia didn't sleep. She called the number at dawn. I accept. From that moment, her life changed. She became a watcher, a silent collector of details. How Ayanda flinched whenever Toriro's laugh echoed too loudly. How she paused at the nursery door sometimes but never entered. How her eyes clouded when Nia mentioned the baby's milestones. She asked soft questions, hidden in small talk. Did your mother ever sing you lullabies, madam? Did you like dolls as a child? Ayanda would only blink slowly, then walk away. So Nia crafted a plan. She took out her paints, spent the night hunched over canvas. Stroke by stroke, she painted Ayanda holding Toriro smiling, radiant, alive. In the morning, she hung it in the corridor leading to Ayanda's bedroom. Hours later, Ayanda saw it. There was a stillness. Then a sudden scream. Glass shattered as she tore the painting from the wall and smashed it to the floor. Who dared hang this filth? Nia stepped out, baby on hip. Forgive me, madam. I meant only good. Ayanda's eyes narrowed. Her voice dropped. Never again. Nia nodded, murmuring apologies. But inside she smiled. There was pain, something raw, something old. The next day, Nia changed her approach. She became louder in her love. She sang lullabies in the open lounge, danced with Toriro as the baby giggled. Sometimes she'd whisper, just loud enough, "Your mother loves you, my sweet," even if her hands forget. Other times, "Your eyes are hers, your smile too, you carry her spirit." Ayanda watched. Stiff, silent. Once she stormed away and cried for hours. Nia heard it, the sobs through the walls. Nia was done waiting. Her quiet patience had led nowhere. The whispers, the tears. Behind doors, Ayanda's cold indifference. It all gnawed at her like a restless rat in the dark. And now, with the promise of 5 million naira dangling before her like ripe fruit, Nia decided to take a risk that would change everything. She hatched a plan, one so dramatic, so daring, it might just pierce through the wall Ayanda had built. Around her heart, the house was silent. Wind rustled the palm trees outside. Moonlight streamed through the tall windows, bathing the hallway in a silvery glow. Toriro was already asleep, her tiny chest rising and falling like waves. Nia glanced toward Ayanda's bedroom. Then, closing her eyes, she let out a scream so loud it cracked the calm night like thunder. Her cry bounced off the marble floor, echoed up the grand staircase, and pierced the stillness like a dagger. Footsteps came fast. Ayanda burst from her bedroom, barefoot, her silk robe flaring behind her. Her eyes darted to the scene in front of her. Nia lay crumpled on the ground, her body twisted, still as stone. Toriro lay beside her, face scrunched and red, wailing. At the top of her lungs, Ayanda froze, her breath caught. Would she move toward her child? For one breathless second, Nia believed she would. But no, Ayanda turned, stepped over the crying child like she wasn't even there. Her feet missed Toriro by inches. She didn't glance back. She didn't kneel, she didn't touch. She raced to the lounge and grabbed her phone. Fingers shaking, she dialed. "Doctor. Wand, come quickly. Something's wrong with Nia." Then she stood there, hands trembling, until the doctor arrived. Nia, still pretending, listened through half-lidded eyes. Her heart beat loud and angry in her chest. She'd hoped for instinct, for panic, for even a flicker of maternal fear. She got none of it. Dr. Wand arrived with his usual calm. He knelt beside Nia, checking her pulse. "Just fatigue," he murmured, brushing a cool hand over her forehead. "She's overworked. She needs rest." Ayanda stood by the doorway, arms crossed tight across her chest, lips thin. "And the baby?" Dr. Wand asked, lifting Toriro gently. "She's fine," Ayanda said without even looking. "Would you like to hold her?" he asked, extending. The child. Ayanda took a single step back. "Please just make sure Nia gets what she needs." The doctor blinked. "But I said what I said." Her voice was steel. With a soft sigh, Dr. Wand turned and handed the crying child to Nia, who slowly sat up, playing along with her fainting spell. Her limbs felt heavy, not from acting, but from disappointment. As soon as they were alone, Nia wrapped Toriro in her shawl and returned to the nursery. She sat in the rocking chair, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. Not one blink, not one twitch, not even a mother's sigh. What did this child ever do to deserve this? She whispered. The room smelled of lavender and baby oil, of innocence and sorrow. Toriro's cries faded into little whimpers as Nia rocked her, kissed her forehead, and sang softly. But in her heart, a storm was brewing. The next few days blurred. Nia moved. Like a ghost, floating from room to room, haunted by what she'd witnessed. Ayanda remained unchanged, cold, quiet, detached. Nia grew restless. The time to deliver on her promise was running out. She needed answers. Desperation clawed at her stomach. One humid evening, as she folded Toriro's tiny dresses by the laundry table, the doorbell rang. She wasn't expecting anyone. Wiping her hands on her wrapper, she stepped to the door. Outside stood an elderly man. His face was weathered, eyes tired but kind. I need to speak with Ayanda, he said. Nia hesitated. May I ask who's calling? I am her husband. The words hit her like cold water. Husband? But Ayanda was a widow. Everyone believed Kobayashi was dead. Shaken, she stepped aside and let him in. He walked in slowly, his cane tapping the floor. Nia picked up her phone and called Ayanda, who was already on her way home from work. When Ayanda entered the house minutes later, she froze at the sight of the man. What are you doing here? She asked, voice brittle. We need to talk, Ayanda, please. It's been long enough. I have nothing to say to you, she snapped. You can't keep living like this, he pleaded. We have to fix this. Leave my house, she growled. The man stepped forward. Please. Ayanda pushed him back, walked to the door, and opened it wide. Out, now. Nia watched it all, stunned by the storm between them. Something deep and dangerous churned in the air. After Ayanda slammed the door shut, Nia slipped out the back to find the man still standing under the mango tree. Sir, she called softly. I don't want to intrude. But if you tell me the truth, I promise I'll speak to her. The man looked at her. His face sagged with guilt. Not here, he said. Call me tonight. He pressed a piece of paper into her hand, then turned and disappeared into the night. That night, once Ayanda had gone to bed, Nia stepped out into the garden and dialed. The phone rang. Once, twice, then the line picked up. Nia, he said. She introduced herself. I want to understand, she said. Please tell me. He sighed, deep and sad. Ayanda wasn't always like this. She used to laugh, to dream. She had color in her cheeks and light in her eyes. Nia listened. Heart pounding. She came to live with me and my wife after her mother died, he continued. My wife was her aunt. We had no children. My wife believed bringing Ayanda into our home would bless us with fruitfulness. He paused, cleared his throat. But as she grew older, she became radiant, too radiant. I was weak. I crossed a line. I got her pregnant. Nia gasped softly, clutching the phone tighter. When my wife found out, she broke. She cursed Ayanda. Her last words were, You will never carry what you steal. Your hands will bring death. Then she walked into the river. Nia blinked, her stomach turning. The curse, he said, voice cracking. It followed us. When Ayanda gave birth to our son, he died the moment she held him. Sudden infant death, the doctors said. But then it happened again, and again. Every child we had gone, the moment she touched them. He paused. People began to say she was cursed, that her touch brought death. She believed it. She ran, and I let her. Nia's chest tightened. She whispered, Is Toriro your child? No, he said. I don't know who the father is. I didn't even know she had a child. I just wanted to see her one last time, to tell her I was sorry. Silence filled the line. Crickets chirped. In the garden, Nia wiped her eyes. "I won't tell her we spoke," she said. "But thank you. Thank you for the truth." She ended the call, her mind swirling. So that was it. The reason behind Ayanda's fear. Not hatred, not neglect, but guilt and terror. A wound so deep, it swallowed her whole. And now Nia knew the truth. But what would she do with it? The fire she'd stepped into was burning hotter now. And she was right in the middle of the flame. Next morning, Nia sat on the kitchen stool, feeding Toriro mashed mango with a carved wooden spoon. The baby giggled, making a mess of her chin, but Nia smiled. It was a rare, peaceful morning until her phone rang. The ringtone was sharp and urgent. She wiped her hands on her wrapper and picked it up. It was her sister, Adana. "Nia." Adana's voice came through breathless and frantic. "You have to come home, right now. It's urgent." Nia's heart skipped. "What happened? Is Mama okay?" "I can't explain. Just come, please." The line went dead. Panic gripped her. She didn't wait. She wrapped Toriro gently in a soft Ankara shawl, slung her bag over her shoulder, and rushed out of the house. No explanations left for Ayanda. The road to Elaru seemed longer than usual. The taxi's engine groaned as it climbed the last hill. Toward her family home. Nia's fingers clutched the baby tighter, her chest tight with worry. As the taxi rolled to a stop and she stepped out through the gate, her eyes met someone she never expected. Ayanda. She stood frozen in the courtyard, a bag of groceries in one hand. "What are you doing here?" Ayanda's voice was guarded, sharp with confusion. Nia swallowed. "I got a call from my sister. She said it was urgent. I didn't know you were here." Just then, Adana stepped out from the front door and froze in shock. "You work for her?" she asked, pointing. Nia nodded slowly. "Yes, Ayanda is my employer." Adana pulled Nia aside, her voice low but intense. "That's who I called you about. She's the woman our brother Jabari got pregnant nearly 2 years ago." Nia felt like the ground had shifted beneath her feet. "What?" Adana nodded. "That night. Remember when Jabari disappeared for a whole day? He told me later he met a woman outside a club. She was crying in her car, said she'd lost everything. They drank, talked, went to a hotel. He didn't even remember her name the next morning. He left before she woke up." Nia stared at her. "Sister, heart racing. How do you know it's her?" "This morning at the supermarket. She saw him, recognized the scar on his wrist, followed him. That's how she ended up here." Nia turned slowly. Ayanda stood in the shade of the mango tree, watching them with unreadable eyes. Nia's arms tightened protectively around the child, that child. The one she had rocked to sleep, fed with her own hands, cradled through every fever. She was her niece. The realization struck her like a lightning bolt. Nia walked toward Ayanda, still holding the baby. "I didn't know," she said quietly. "I didn't know Toriro was Jabari's daughter." Ayanda's face softened, just for a second. "It was a mistake," she said, "but not when forced. I was alone, broken. I needed someone to listen. Your brother did." Nia's lips parted, but she said nothing. "I'm not here to ruin your family," Ayanda continued. "I never meant to come here. But when I saw him again, I felt he had the right to know." From the corner of the compound, Jabari stepped out into the open, his face pale. He moved slowly toward them, eyes locked on Toriro. He stood inches from Nia, hands trembling. "Can I hold her?" he asked, voice shaking. Nia looked to Ayanda. She nodded. Carefully, Jabari reached out and took Toriro into his arms. But he wasn't used to holding babies. His grip was awkward. Toriro wriggled. Then in a sudden slip, she began to fall. Everyone gasped. Ayanda lunged forward, her hands moving faster. Then thought. She caught Toriro by the leg, pulling her safely into her chest, and there it was. The first time Ayanda ever touched her child, silence fell. Ayanda froze, staring at the baby in her arms, breath locked in her chest. She was waiting for the same curse to strike, for death to come like it had before. 1 second, 2, 3, nothing. Toriro looked up at her mother, eyes wide, cheeks flushed. She blinked, then smiled. Alive, safe. Ayanda's legs buckled beneath her. She sank to the ground, still cradling the child, her body trembling like a leaf. She's alive, she whispered, almost afraid to believe it. Tears streamed down her face. She rocked gently, clutching her daughter to her chest. I thought I'd lose her too. Adana, Nia, and Jabari stood frozen. The world seemed to hold its breath. Ayanda looked up at Nia, eyes glistening. She's alive. Nia knelt beside her. Yes, she is. Ayanda touched her daughter's hair, her tiny fingers. Every heartbeat felt like a miracle. The curse had not returned. And for the first time in years, Ayanda's heart beat without fear. She sat on the warm red earth beneath the mango tree, still holding Toriro like she might vanish if she let go. Her fingers trembled. Her lips whispered, over and over, "They said I was cursed. They said I was cursed." Nia stepped forward, kneeling beside her. Gently, she reached for Ayanda's shoulder and whispered, "You were never cursed." Ayanda's head turned, her expression confused. "What are you saying?" "I found out something," Nia said, voice steady but low. "Something I think you need to hear." Ayanda's arms instinctively wrapped tighter around her daughter. Nia nodded, understanding. "Earlier this morning, a man came to see me. He said he used to work with your husband. He told me everything." Ayanda's brows furrowed, her body went still. Nia took a deep breath. "Your aunt never cursed you. And she didn't drown herself, Ayanda. She was murdered. By your husband." Ayanda's mouth opened, but no words came. Her eyes darted back and forth, as though her mind refused to understand. "He used her, Ayanda, for rituals, and then he used you too. That's why the children—" Nia's voice broke, but she pressed on. "He told people it was a curse. But it wasn't. He was the one behind it. He made it look like you killed them with your touch. He lied. And he paid others to spread those lies." Ayanda's eyes welled with tears. She looked down at her daughter, still safe, still breathing. "All this time," she whispered, "I denied myself joy. I pushed my baby away because of a lie." "He stole your children, Ayanda," Nia said, voice heavy with compassion. "He stole your peace." Ayanda's tears spilled freely. "But not this one," she said, tightening her grip on Toriro. "Not anymore." Nia leaned forward and wrapped her arms around them both. Never again. That night Ayanda couldn't sleep. Her thoughts spun like the wind. The truth buzzed through her veins, angry and raw. By dawn, she was on the phone, calling in every favor, every connection she had left. By midday, her aunt's husband, her tormentor, was in handcuffs. People came forward. Witnesses who had once vanished returned with stories and proof. The justice system stirred. The mask of the man who'd hidden behind wealth and whispers was ripped away. He was charged, tried, and sentenced for everything he'd done: the murders, the manipulation, the stolen lives. And Ayanda? She began to heal. Weeks passed. One morning, Nia's phone buzzed with a familiar number. The same one that had once offered her $5 million for Ayanda's secret. She answered it, her voice sharp. "Hello." A silky female voice flowed through the line. "Do you have what I asked for?" Nia stood, her jaw tight. "You know," she said slowly, "for a long time, $5 million sounded like everything. But now I understand some truths are priceless." She took a breath. "Don't ever call this number again." She hung up without waiting for a reply. She would never know the full story behind that voice. That it belonged to a rival businesswoman who had long envied Ayanda's influence, who believed that if she could dig up a scandal, she'd win a multi-million-dollar contract. But Nia didn't need to know. She only knew one thing: she had done the right thing. Had she given up Ayanda's secret, she would have destroyed a woman who had already suffered too much. Ayanda, too, had learned something. Power and wealth could not erase the cost of betrayal. She regretted ever betraying her aunt. She mourned not just the children she'd lost, but the woman who had once tried to protect her. And she vowed never to repeat her mistakes. This story, the story of Ayanda, of Nia, of Toriro, is not just about sorrow. It's about truth. And truth, no matter how long it's buried, always finds air to breathe. We learn through Ayanda that distance does not always mean coldness. Sometimes it means fear, pain, silence born of wounds too deep to show. We learn through Nia that no amount of money is worth trading a human soul. And we learn, finally, that evil wears many masks. But truth has a voice that never forgets how to sing. Toriro giggled in her sleep that evening, her mother gently rocking her in a hammock by the window. And in that moment, for the first time in a very long time, everything felt like it was exactly where it should be. Alive, whole, free. Not all silence means guilt, and not every distance is absence of love. Sometimes the ones we judge are the ones fighting the fiercest battles within. And when the truth finally rises, it sets not just one soul free, but generations. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful African tales that speak to the soul. Tap the bell icon so you never miss a story that could change your life.